Today is April 4th, 2025, and welcome to the 433rd episode of the Video Games podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. Me? My name is Brad Galloway. I'm the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a website that uses the full range of review scores from 0 to 10, while also offering full accessibility info on every review we publish. Hello, welcome. Thank you all for joining me today. We got a little bit of a different show today. We are, through the magic of podcasting, going to be having Carlos joining us in the second half of the show. So since he's going to be here, we're going to mix things up just a little bit. I usually do housekeeping at the opening of each program, but we're going to put a pin in that until Carlos gets here because we're going to be discussing the Switch 2, which was just recently announced a couple days ago. And a couple of the games that I was going to talk about in the beginning, I happened to find out that Carlos has actually played. And so we are going to put a pin in those as well. So it's kind of mixed up the agenda just a bit, but no big deal. We're still going to cover a whole bunch of games. Still going to do a lot of games talk, a lot of stuff that you like, that you come to the show for. So it's all good. Just going to be slightly jumbled. I will, however, still start the main portion of the show this week with circlebacks, where I circle back to something I've covered in depth on a previous episode. Not going to get into all the details here. This is just a quick update on something I've spoken about earlier to let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. Okay, I will do like a larger circleback / full review for Monster Hunter Wild later in the show when Carlos gets here. But for now, the only circleback will be Split Fiction. I talked about this last week, coming from Hazelight Studios. It is the required 2-player. You cannot play this by yourself. You must have at least one friend or internet rando, where two writers are trapped in a, for lack of a better term, an AI brain-sucking machine that's trying to steal all their creativity, which kind of hits close to home these days, speaking of AI. And so they live out their short story worlds in their heads in kind of like third-person fashion. So one person's a fantasy writer, you go through fantasy stories. The other person's a sci-fi writer, you go through sci-fi stories. And each one experiences the other. You work together as a team most of the time. You split up sometimes. But basically, it's like a co-op game where like maybe one person will push a button to make a bridge lower. The other person crosses the bridge. Then once to get to the other side, they push a button, let the other person switch. Or sometimes you're like 2-player shooting or whatever. There are loads of various 2-player activities here. Some of them more clever than others for sure. The wife and I have been playing this at least once or twice a day. It's hard to tell how far you are. I don't get a lot of narrative, I don't know, like rising action. I don't feel like the drama is increasing. We're kind of just doing, I mean, it's fun to play. The story is all right, I guess. It's much better than the last game from the studio, It Takes Two, which I thought was an execrable story, just really atrocious. Offensive even. I would even say it was offensive to me. So this story is inoffensive, which I think is a step up, but that's fine. It's like neither here nor there. It's pretty predictable beats. It's kind of boring. But the actual gameplay is really what's fun. So doing all these different things, riding jet skis with my wife, gliding places, shooting things, like doing the 2-player co-op is actually quite fun. There's lots of different ideas. I will say though that now that we're a good patch into it, I mean, I feel like we're at least past the halfway point. We must be, surely. That the game is kind of lacking polish in a few places. I kind of mentioned this last time, but we've gotten to a number of areas where like we just don't know quite where to go. It's usually like when we're racing, or maybe when we're like platforming and the platforms are falling, you got to hurry up. Sometimes I'm just like, where are we going? Like, I just don't know where the next direction is. And once we know where we're going, we can kind of see like, oh, okay, I guess they put a flashing light by the door to catch your attention, but it didn't catch our attention. Or maybe just the camera's pointing the wrong way, or something about it just doesn't really stand out. I think the level design needs a little bit of help, especially when they're trying to get you to go from A to B in a hurry. I will also say that this difficulty has been definitely ramped up since It Takes Two, for sure. I think that, I was almost going to recommend this to a couple friends where like one half of a couple is a gamer and the other half is just like a casual gamer or maybe not even a gamer. But I was like, oh, this seems like in the beginning, it could be fun, like couples getting together or good friends, kind of finding a new thing to bond on. But once past the first opening couple of levels, it gets like not like real hard, but like annoyingly hard to the point of where you're trying something too many times, or hard to the point where you think you made it, but the game didn't quite let you go past. Like we were in this section where we were rowing a canoe. And so I was in the front of the canoe, the wife was in the back, and then you had to choose either a row on the left side or a row on the right side, just like a real canoe. And so we're in this little river, and there is a wall, and there's a hole in the wall. You got to go through the hole in the wall, otherwise you're going to crash in the wall. And we fucking did that section. Oh my God, it must have been like 23 times, if not 24. We just kept hitting the wall and hitting the wall and hitting the wall, and the controls just weren't quite there, and the hole was too small, and the power from your paddle wasn't quite enough. Like, the whole thing just needed to be tuned a little bit, right? And like, with just a little bit of tuning, we would have made it in just 2 or 3 tries, no big deal. But we just kept smashing and smashing and smashing and smashing to the point where, like, both of us were getting pretty frustrated. Not with each other, thankfully, but just with the game. We're just like, Jesus Christ, one more fucking, oh my, how many times are we going to do this? And it just started like really taking away from the fun. There was that part, a couple other parts too, where some of the platforming is just not quite as tuned as it needs to be. And one thing that I have noticed with this game is sometimes when you die, it'll respawn you in a place that's really dangerous. Like yesterday we were doing a jet ski level, and there's walls, so you have to like dive under the water to avoid the wall. And then when the walls are gone, then you come back up to the surface. And I got through the first part okay, but the wife hit the wall the first time, and it respawned her right before the wall going full speed. And so she kept smashing and smashing and smashing and smashing. If they had just set her a little bit further back, or let her start at neutral speed or no speed and let her control the speed herself, she would have made it no problem. But it's stuff like that where it's like, okay, you guys are not starting me in the right place. You're setting me up for failure. And also some of these places are not quite clear, and some of these things are a little bit annoying. It does not feel as polished or as smooth or as frictionless as it needs to be. And also in an experience like this, like, I'm not here for a skill check. Like, I'm here for fun. I want to play something fun with a friend, and I have to play with a friend. So obviously that's got to be a big part of it. Like, we're not here to do like, you know, like the try hard bro hard stuff that, you know, you might want to do if you were doing a Souls game or something like that. This is supposed to be just enjoyable. And I think they're missing the mark just slightly. Now, to be fair, it hasn't been the whole way. It's only like select parts, but it's noticeable because you'll be doing 3 or 4 parts in a row that are really fun and you're having a good time, and then you hit a brick wall and you're like, what the fuck? Why is this so hard? Or why does this boss have so much life? Or why is this so annoying? So we're still playing it. We're still enjoying it, but I will say it feels less polished and a little bit more difficult in spots than it needs to be. And because of that, I actually have not recommended it. I was kind of disappointed. I was looking to spread the word on this one, but I think I'm not going to, because I really don't want to cause a fight with friends who are couples, right? Like, I don't want to start a fight between a couple that I like. I would feel really shitty if I did that. So I'm actually not going to recommend it to anybody personally. But, you know, if you have a friend who has some decent gamer skills and you don't mind a little bit of frustration here and there, I still think it's a good time. And I think a game like this is a fun one. This intentional co-op is good. No idea what it'd be like if you could play with a rando, or if you even can. I'm not even sure you even can meet up with a rando. That might not even be possible. But regardless, Split Fiction, I mean, it's good. It's not great. We're still going to finish it. Having fun still, but limited fun. Medium fun, I think. And I'll circle back when I have rolled credits on this with the wife. All right, next up is a brand new game I've never talked about before. It's called Lonestar, one word, Lonestar, developed by developer Math Tide, which I think is kind of funny because I think this game is actually pretty math-based. This is a roguelike, run-based. You star as a space pilot. There are a couple to choose from once you get past the tutorial section, and they all have individual powers. And then you go in a spaceship, and the spaceship is where all the roguelike stuff happens. Now, I will say, this game reminds me a lot of Cobalt Core, which came out a year or 2 ago. Very similar in many ways. Roguelike, both spaceship-based, both dealing with ships which have lanes of lasers. I'll get to that in a second. I think they're very, very similar, and I think at a glance you might mistake one for the other, while Cobalt Core, I believe, is going vertical, but Lonestar is going horizontal. I will say, though, I like Lonestar better. I think Lonestar is the better game. If I had to choose between the two, I would, without a doubt, choose Lonestar, despite the fact that there are a couple rough edges here. But overall, I like what it's doing a lot better. But I will say, if you did like Cobalt Core and you want more of that, or if you want a space-based roguelike, I think this is a good option. So what you do is you have your spaceship here, and your spaceship has basically like a big open spot of like 9 squares that are empty. And each ship, I've only got one unlocked so far, but there's more to unlock, comes stock with a couple of little squares. And before I go any further, let me just say that one of the biggest issues I had with Lonestar is the tutorialization is super not great. They don't explain a lot of the basic concepts very well. It feels like the developer understands their system very well, and they kind of assume that I understand it too, which is not the case. I could have used a lot more tutorialization going on. Full disclosure, I started off really not liking this experience, and thinking, okay, this sucks. I don't like this. I don't understand what's going on. This is hard to figure out. I'm unclear. But I stuck with it. And I'm like, I'm going to just go back into this. I'm going to just really, really just look at this and really try to figure it out. And I got there. And now that I've figured it out, I think it's actually really cool and good. I just think they don't do themselves any favors by starting off in such a rough way. The tutorial just needs a way better approach to it. So there's that. Just know that going into it, it's not a great tutorial. Also, I will say I'm playing this on the Switch and I'm playing in handheld mode, and all the text is too small. You can increase it from size 1 to size 1.3 or something like that. That's the max. But it's still pretty small. I think that just overall, this does not feel as though it's optimized for the Switch. I would have really appreciated bigger icons, definitely bigger text, some bigger aspects on the screen. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of stuff on the screen, and much of it is quite small. It's not unplayable, but it is a little bit off-putting, especially if you don't know what's going on. Then it gets kind of confusing. So I think just know those two things going in. It doesn't start off with the best first impression. So, but, like I said, I think this game is actually quite good, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. So once you get past all that initial stuff, what's going on here is that your ship has these 9 slots in it, and each ship starts with 1. So, for example, in the starting ship, you've got 1 slot, which it's a cannon. The other slot's a cannon. 1 slot in the middle is a double cannon, and then you've got a little booster thing in the back. And it's not really clear how any of this works at first. And then once you start a match, you go up against another ship. Your ship's on the left, and their ship is on the right. And your ship has 3 lanes that it can fire from, a top, a middle, and a bottom. A match starts, and then numbers appear on the bottom of the screen. And you can take those numbers and put them into any of the slots that are on your cannons. Or also on your other little jobby. But I'll get to that in a second. So this is kind of unclear at first. But let's say, for example, you've got 3 lasers, top, middle, bottom, and they're all empty. So they say 0, 0, 0. And then the enemy shows up on the right side of the screen. And let's say, for example, he's got 3 lasers too, top, middle, bottom also. So you're basically just doing a face-off. It's 2 ships playing chicken with each other. And on the right side, the enemy might say, well, I'm going to fire top laser, 5 damage, middle laser, 5 damage, bottom laser, 5 damage, right? And so you see 5, 5, 5. On your side, it's 0, 0, 0. So you got to take the numbers at the bottom of the screen, plug them into your cannons in whichever way they will fit. And then you want to either match their damage and negate it, or you want to exceed their damage so you can shoot them and hit them for actual, for damage, I guess. Damage. So, okay, I know this is kind of cumbersome to explain. When you see it, it makes sense eventually. And describing this is kind of hard, but when it's, trust me, it's much simpler when you see it. So the enemy is firing for 5. So I'll take a 6 and I'll put that in the top laser. And my 6 is bigger than his 5. So it cancels out his 5. And then I hit him for 1 because the 2, 6 minus 5 is equal 1. Then he'll take 1 damage. And let's say in the middle laser, I'll put in 10. And so I will cancel out his 5 damage that he's doing. And then I'll do 5 damage of my own because 10 minus 5 is 5. Kind of why I said it's kind of funny that this game is really math oriented, right? Feels almost like a math game that you might play in math class a little bit. And that's not a bad thing. And then let's say, for example, on the bottom lane, he's hitting me for 5 and I ran out of numbers. I don't have numbers left. I have 0, so I leave it at 0. So I have nothing to cancel out. He hits me for 5. So each ship has shielding and a certain number of life points. And so you kind of go back and forth. Really, the bottom line of this is you want to take your numbers, run them through your cannons, and then you either want to at least cancel out or override their damage. Now, the factor that kind of turns this into a roguelike and makes it interesting is, yeah, you start off with basic cannons, but then eventually you get some with have little twists. One will be oh, if you put in anything larger than a 4, then it'll double the power. So you put in a 4 and then it becomes an 8. Or one will be oh, if you put in a number 1 here, then I'll give you 2 number 1s back. Or, there's all these little factors that go into these little units you can plug into your ship. And because you have 9 slots total, you can mix and match and move them around however you want. So as the game goes on, like a normal roguelike, you get different units, different powers, different factors. And so I think on my best run, I had a cannon where if I put 2 numbers of the same value into the cannon, then it doubled the attack power. And then right behind it, I had a unit that gave a +1 to anything that was adjacent to it. And then behind that, I had one that was oh, it was like if you put in a certain number, then it like doubled that number's out. Oh, whatever. So you can see where this is going, right? By careful manipulation of the units in your 9x9 ship, you can kind of get some interesting synergies happening. And you're also always looking to see how you can maximize your value. You can sometimes take a low number and turn it into a bigger number. You can take a number and double it. Sometimes you can adjust the way that things hit. So there's all sorts of factors that I think once you understand how it works are interesting. But I will say, again, the game doesn't really tutorialize in a great way. There's a really strange color system that I think is not intuitive at all, where damage, the numbers come in white, blue, and orange. And at first I had no idea what that meant. And the UI does kind of help you out with that because the game will not let you plug a number into the wrong slot. But also, it's just not a very intuitive system. I will also say I do not fully understand how the numbers are generated. I'm trying to figure that out because it seems like that's a good area to manipulate in your favor if you can figure it out. But I'm not very clear on that. So again, I think the tutorials could be better. I don't fully understand how the resource system works. I feel like I'm close to understanding it, but not quite there. But overall, I really do like the way that this game flows. You eventually get new ships, which I have not unlocked yet. You get new pilots, which have different abilities, and some of those can affect your run in different ways. Like one guy will give you money when you heal. One person lets you steal from an item shop, so forth and so on. And between battles, if you survive, you have a limited number of opportunities to go to. It's up to you to decide where you want to go. You can usually do between 2 or 3 different things between each battle. So it can be like, go to a space gas station and refuel. You can go to try to gamble some of your money. You can do a random event, maybe get a treasure, maybe get a penalty. There's all sorts of like random events in the middle that I think are kind of fun and kind of give you a chance to change up your run a bit. And then you, when you run out of those opportunities, you go back to a battle, so forth and so on. And I will say the one good thing is when you beat a boss battle, you get full life back restored, which is super, super grateful and needed. I'm usually barely scraping through those boss battles with just a life point left. So that's a good thing. Overall, I think it's a really good, interesting system. The concepts are good. Once you figure it out, it makes sense. And I think that manipulating the numbers and the little units in your ship is pretty fun. There's lots of possibilities there. I'm only just scratching the surface now. There's loads of stuff I haven't unlocked yet. I'm just beginning. So I think there's a lot left in the tank on this one, which I'm very curious to check out. I just wish it got off to a better start because, like I said, the text is pretty small. It's kind of off-putting. And also the tutorials are not great. And I just don't think a lot of these systems are really intuitive. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because I definitely am open to new ideas and new concepts. I just think they should have taken a better approach to tutorializing what's going on. There are pop-ups. They do space it out. But like from the get-go, I just needed more information to get me off the ground right. And it's not quite there. But I will say you can figure it out. There's, of course, YouTube. You can ask me for help if you wish. But overall, I think this one is definitely worth checking out if you like roguelikes, especially if you like different kinds of roguelike, something that does not a deck builder, something that's not like Slay the Spire, something that's not your usual action-based roguelike. The only other one this reminds me of is Cobalt Core, but I think this one is definitely better. So there you go. That is Lonestar from developer Mathtide. Ultimately, I think it's a pretty good thing, and I am looking forward to spending more time with it. All right, next up is the demo for the 100 line Last Defense Academy. Demo is up on Switch right now, and I think it's going to be Switch and PC. Not 100% sure, but anyway. So this is from the Danganronpa developers. I believe both the artist and the writer. It seems very much like their thing, and in fact, I was doing just a little bit of research, which I almost never do, but I was curious about this one. It is from that team, and I think this is kind of I'm not sure exactly what's going on with them, but they said they're basically going into debt on this game, and if this game doesn't do well, then their studio is going to close. So not to put pressure on anybody listening, but if you're a fan of these developers, you may want to check into this one. I'm a huge fan of Danganronpa 1 and 2, and I bought 3. I haven't played 3. I just never got around to it, so shame on me for that. But Danganronpa 1 and 2, I think, are probably some of the best visual novels I've ever played. The story twists, the way they integrate some detective work, the art style, everything about them I think is just really on point and perfect. So I love them very much. If you've never played the Danganronpa games, please go check them out. I think they're just fantastic. And so this is from the same team. And I think that's really obvious to see. If you've played any of the Danganronpa games, playing this is just like, oh shit, this is Danganronpa. Like the character designs, very similar. The writing style, very similar. The premise, very similar. So in this game, the 100 line Last Defense Academy, And again, this is the demo. I don't have the full version of the game yet. I'm not spoiling anything. This is all, publicly available information, basically. So what happens is something strange, and you don't know what it is. You're in the world, you're in Japan, but there's something off about it. The biggest giveaway is that rather than a sky, there's a ceiling. There's a ceiling to Japan, and you don't know anything more about it. People going about their lives, kids going to school, just everything you think of would happen in a normal city, except there's like a roof above the city. And so at some point, our main character gets kidnapped. He goes into this school, and there are other people there who are kidnapped, and no one knows what's going on. And I'm sure you can already see this is kind of parallel to Danganronpa, right? The same thing happened in that game as well, basically. And so they wake up, and there's this weird little mascot guy who looks very much like he's got Monokuma vibes, if Monokuma being the mascot of Danganronpa. And so he's like, hey, you guys are all here, and we need to protect humanity from these monsters, and so we're all going to do combat. And no one knows what's going on. No one has heard of anything that this guy is talking about. They don't know about the monsters. They don't know what kind of combat they're talking about. And so the kids kind of get thrown into it right off the bat. You go into a turn-based tactics battle system where your main character has like a sword, and he can attack people in a straight, like a horizontal line. There's a lady there who's got an axe. She can attack only one person, but for heavy damage. There's a guy who has a motorcycle, and he does like big area of effect damage. And there's a lady who's got knives, and she kind of attacks in like a cross style, plus shape style. And so you do these turn-based tactics. Think something like, I don't know, like XCOM or Fire Emblem. You have this like horde of little teeny monsters kind of rushing you, and you got to just take them all out. So like you get through this combat, and you go back to the school, and it turns out that you're in this building, which is kind of like a school, although there's no classes. And you're there with like a bunch of other people, and you just need to like keep doing these battles. You can level up your weapons. You can make relationships with the other people. Every time you talk to one of them and build up your relationship, you build up a stat, and these stats will go into certain decisions and choices in the game. There's also a practice area where you can do mock battles to increase your levels. You can also search the area outside the school, which is like a desolate, I don't know, post-apocalyptic zone or something. There's nothing but monsters and junk out there. And so it kind of looks like a board game almost, where you have certain numbers of squares you can move. You look around the map, you kind of move according to your squares. You pick up items that can be used for leveling up and for increasing your stats and your strength. And then you take those back to the school when you're done. You also do battles out there. Sometimes you hit random battles, and you fight in the same turn-based tactics, kind of like isometric style, very much visually like XCOM or something like that, but with Danganronpa graphics and characters. I will say the school parts where you're talking to everybody, pretty familiar and comfortable. And I mean, the art is on point. It's attractive. I love the art style of the Danganronpa artist. The writing is good. It's snappy. You talk back and forth. You get a pretty good sense of who everybody is. They follow some character archetypes, but I think it's pretty solid. That's fine. When you go out into the battle system is a little bit unconventional. I think the control system is kind of weird. It doesn't quite work the way that you think it would work. And I play a ton of turn-based strategy games, as you all know. And so it took me a minute to kind of wrap my brain around it. Like, rather than choosing a character and attacking, it's like you choose the character, then you choose the attack, and then you choose where to place the attack. Ultimately, it doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't like affect the game in any way. It was just an unusual way of approaching that order of operations. And so I kind of struggled with it for a minute, but I got in the groove pretty well. And I think that it all functions. There's a nice level of depth to it. You can improve your attacks. There are some special attacks you can do that are super powerful, but then they make your character paralyzed for like the next level or the next round. So you got to be very judicious when you do those. I think something that's interesting too is they operate on very small numbers here. A lot of the enemies you're killing have 1 hit point, and like a lot of the characters you have do 1 hit point of damage. Like a big beefy guy will have like 10 hit points. And so I think it's interesting that they chose to scale down rather than some boss having 10,000 hit points. He has 10 hit points, but you still get a sense of him being bigger and tougher. It's just interesting they use smaller numbers. Nothing wrong with it at all. Just kind of an observation. But it's pretty interesting so far. I like the kind of mix between visual novel and tactical turn-based things. Those are two of my favorite genres, and so having those things put together is great. Graphics are great. Style is great. It's pretty straightforward so far. And I think it all works. I mean, I think if anybody out there who is like me, who really enjoyed Danganronpa, wants more of that, this is absolutely more of that. and I would be curious to see where it goes. My only concerns so far, and again, this is based on the demo. And by the way, your demo data does carry over into the main game. If you want to give the demo a shot and you like it, you can just pick up where you left off. So that's cool. I love when they do that. My only concerns are, I guess, I want to see depth in the combat more than what I have, because I'm in the demo so far, and this is totally fine. But the Danganronpa games are generally pretty long, between 30 and 50 hours, based on past experience. And so if we're going to be in the experience that long again, I'm definitely going to want to see new characters. I'm going to want to see expansions of powers. I'm going to want to see perhaps different equipment or weapons, something to keep it fresh. So it's TBD to see whether that pans out or not. And also, I am kind of curious, is this going to end up being kind of a killing game scenario like the previous Danganronpas were, or where the story's going to go? But again, I have not been disappointed by these people so far. I feel like they've been a really high quality team. They've had some really strong writing and characters. I love the Danganronpa games. So I have a lot of faith in this one, and I'm willing to see it through. So I will be requesting code for this. I will be doing a full coverage of the game if and when possible. And so far, it seems like a big win. So anybody out there who likes visual novels or visual novels plus, where you do something else or you have some kind of like new interaction that can only be done in the medium of video games, this is one worth checking out. And if you've never played a Danganronpa game, number one, go check those out. And number two, definitely look into this. I think that they have their own style and flavor that has not quite been duplicated anywhere else. So it's definitely a thumbs up so far, with the knowledge that I've only seen the demo so far. I will certainly report back as is warranted in the future. All right, and through the magic of podcasting, we have now time traveled into the future, and Carlos Rodela, who was not with me at the beginning of the show, is now here. He just teleported in. Welcome, Carlos.
Hey, what's up?
Good to have you back, my friend. How's things going?
Good. It was a little delayed for me, so my entrance is a little delayed with the teleportation thing. But I'm glad we finally have it.
Yeah, you got stuck in the transport buffer, but
all
the Star Trek engineers finally figured it out and got you through. No data loss there.
I hope not.
Well, you better check your pants later, see what happens.
By the way, and why'd you go there first? Not to side rails immediately, which is exactly what we're going to do.
Exactly what we do.
Yes. I just want teleportation so bad. You know what I mean? Because like right now I'm thinking about going back to New York to visit people, and it's 6 hours, 7 hours. And I don't know, is that first person or first, what is it called? First world problems?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but it's just still like, I want teleportation. I would go so many more places.
Yeah, I think that would be great. We could get rid of traffic and think about how much, hopefully teleporters wouldn't have any environmental impact, but think about how much smog we'd save.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really need a car anymore, so we could save on those resources. I mean, as long as it didn't give nuclear waste, I think ultimately it'd be a very, very good move for humanity. But then again, you're going to have people fucking with your data packets or whatever.
Your bits. Yeah, you might be losing some bits.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. So pluses and minuses, I guess.
Podcast name, Losing Some Bits.
Losing Some Bits. There you go. All right, dude, welcome to the tail end of the show. I told people at the top of the show you were going to be here, and lo and behold, you have appeared. Now, I usually, as you know, do housekeeping at the start of the show, but I knew you were coming this week, so I held off. And I don't have a whole lot of housekeeping this week. Really, the only thing that's been on top of my mind is the recent Switch 2 Direct that happened. Nintendo put out a show. I'm in the time warp right now. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but it's a couple days ago at least. And I don't know about you. Did you watch it live or did you watch it that day when it dropped?
Yeah, I watched it the day. I didn't watch it live because I think all those are so early in the morning.
Yeah. It popped up at 7 a.m. and I was actually awake, but I was working. The wife was awake, and so we didn't get to it till 8 or 8:30. So we were almost live, pretty close to that, and we watched it from start to finish. And I mean, we can get into the details here, but overall, what was your feeling? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Were you smiling? Were you grumbling? What's your thoughts on the Switch 2 after watching that info?
Without going into another side tangent, which I'm so close to doing, I am just so tired, of jaded journalists and jaded people in the industry. So for me, I was just fun, cool, no shit, I'm going to buy the new Switch. That's the general takeaway. I was fun, new stuff. Simple version of my review is that I wanted more Switch stuff, and I don't have, my current Switch was really crappy. I had the kind of portable or light version, and I really want to play with my brother who has Switch. So yeah, I was just more stuff, cool. And then, of course, Mario Kart. Who doesn't love that game? And you're going to throw grinding in it. Okay. And then you're going to make it semi-open world. Cool. I'm just like, everything seemed cool to me. Like, nothing was like super down. I have a couple teeny cons I'll go at the end. But in general, my takeaway was like, okay, I want it. Like, no shit. You don't have to give me a direct. I'm going to get it. But this is cool that a couple games, are going to come out at launch. And the Donkey Kong one is a month later. But like that, destructible environments, you know what I mean? And I'm always a sucker for a new platformer. So, they showed some third-party stuff, not a lot of first-party stuff. But it's just the system I'm going to need, right?
Yeah.
Am I making it too simple? But that's...
No, I think that's fine. Whatever, I'm open to all possibilities here. So whatever you wanted to say is totally fine. There's no specific bits. I mean, I'm largely the same. I'm a Switch fan. I love the Switch. I play it basically every day. It's one of my most played systems. I've got like literally, I think I have over 1,000 games on my library.
You're Mr. Switch. This is like, it's the same thing, right? You should just be
so
like...
I'm in.
Yeah, you're in.
Exactly. Like they were speaking my language. I did not want another weird Nintendo thing just for the sake of being weird, right? I didn't want it to like strap to your forehead. I didn't want like the sandwich maker attachment. I didn't want it to be in the shape of a dodecahedron or whatever. I just wanted like the Switch works. It's a real good thing, and all I wanted was that, but more.
Right.
And that's what they did. And so I'm totally happy with that. I am not one of those people who's like, it's just the same, and where's my weird paper folding thing, and it's not made out of recyclable materials or whatever. Like, fuck, I just wanted more of what I like. And that's what they delivered, which is really cool. I think the leaning into the social stuff is interesting with the camera and seeing your friends. I mean, obviously, like, kids these days, they have a different expectation of like how they play games, which is totally fine. I watch my son play games and it's very different than how I play games, and that's just how it is. Different generations, different things. So that's fine. I mean, I think they are being pretty smart about it. I think the bigger screen is great. It's not much larger in general, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it just seems to really make some sense. I think the mouse, using your Joy-Cons as mice, cool idea. I think that was very smart and very useful, because there's a fair number of games on the Switch that want you to use a mouse, but you don't have one, so you got to like mess around with the Joy-Con sticks, and those are not great for that purpose.
Yeah,
so,
they are not.
I mean, that's all pretty smart. I think like that very much.
The chat button, like just smart as hell. Like, of course, like when I'm playing with my brother, and we want to talk throughout the game. It's always been difficult. Like Nintendo's never done a good job sometimes, of that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to use a camera, but like you said, like younger people might, but at the same time, they did not show streaming. And I feel like that's exactly what it could be used for. But I know Nintendo, and I feel like they're going to be like, you can stream this on our platform. Maybe like Nintendo Online, but no one wants that. They want to stream to Twitch. So,
well, they do have that new app, right? They're really pushing that app hard, and I think they're only going to push it harder. So maybe that's the plan. Maybe they are going to stream it.
I hope
so.
But
to the Nintendo app.
But to the Nintendo app. See, again, no one wants to do that. Like they want to go to Twitch or YouTube. So I think there's a lot of little things that, like you just said, just make sense, and there's add-ons. I do think the only two cons that I have is it is not OLED, because that would have pushed it to like $50 more. That's what I heard is like, and that's not even that much more, but like they didn't want to sell it at 500 because it's already 450. Yeah. But OLED would have been cool out the box. I'm not going to lie.
Well, there's going to be a Switch 2 too, so they got to have room to grow, right?
Yeah. And then the other thing that was dumb, this is the only thing that was actually actively dumb, was the Welcome Tour app. You have to pay or
How is that not a pack-in?
That's crazy.
What the fuck?
That's
I
nuts.
was like, I literally fell out of my chair when I saw, and you'll have to pay for this. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you insane? Do we even know how much they're charging? I mean, if it's more than like $1, they're high.
Yeah, if it's more than like 1 penny, because no way, dude. It's just like that's the whole idea is you want to show off your system,
right? Why would you?
Wow, that's so dumb.
I literally fell out of me. I could not believe that they're charging for that shit. That was the biggest miss. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the other question is the price, right? So it's launching for $450 in the US. I think I don't know how that equates to the euro or whatever, but there's problems, right? There's problems because of Donald J. fucking Trump and Elon Musk and all of the rest of the fascist regime that's happening right now. So Nintendo announced that they are delaying pre-orders in America because of the ongoing tariff nonsense that Trump is fucking the country with. I just did the math. So here in Washington State, we are both broadcasting for Washington State. Carlos and I both live basically in Seattle. And so the sales tax, last time I checked, was something like 10 point something percent on like sales tax. So if we take the 450 plus the, I don't know what, 30% tariff that they're going to slap on Japan, it's either 30 or 35%, plus the 10% sales tax that we have in Washington, that brings the unit price up to pretty close to $600. So that's, it's not a fortune, but it's also not nothing either. And, I don't know about other folks, but for me, like, I don't just casually like drop $600 on something. And especially for me, which I know my situation is different because I have a son and a wife and they both like to play games. And we generally, when we do Switch, we all have Switches. So there's no way I'm going to be able to buy like 3 of those at the drop.
Yeah.
And I might just even delay my own purchase because politics, the world, the economy. I mean, I think most people who listen to the show know that the United States is in fucking free fall, going straight to hell right now. I'm not even sure we're going to have a functioning government by the time the Switch comes out. So I don't know, man. We got a lot of shit going down here.
We were not going to go into it, but I think we will. And secondly, I just found this out, but Amazon, not to promote Amazon, but they had like that deal where you can just do payments for certain things. Because that's how I got my monitor. My new monitor is I
didn't realize they did that. You can choose that when you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's some certain credit thing or whatever. Mine's not great. So, but yeah, I paid for my new monitor that way, and so that's like my answer to this. Really, is like if it gets a little expensive, 500, 600, whatever it is, I'll just still get it. And it is an investment, right? You remember that you have this for years. It's not like you're buying something that's just replaceable immediately.
Yeah. And if I play it as much as I play my first Switch, I'll be playing it every day. So I'll definitely make quote unquote make the money back. Or whatever,
I'll just I'll just do a payment plan. And then the other thing that is weird, I'll mention really quickly, then we'll get to games, is that I heard this from MinMax podcast, but like the Japanese version is going to be locked, like region locked for the first time.
I heard that.
Yeah, because they're basically saying like, okay, we're going to just keep our, you want to like not have our consoles because you're tariffing or whatever. We're just going to have a Japanese version that's cheaper because basically it's how much it costs us to make it and we don't have to send it anywhere. And so that's really interesting. But we can't buy those because they're Japanese.
I mean, you could. There's ways, but it will not be easily accessible. And
well, no, I mean, it's English. It's not English, right? So it's...
Oh, yeah, but you can get one if you wish. I mean, there's ways around everything.
Yeah.
But there's no real reason to.
Yeah.
It's... man, we're not... This is not a political podcast. I get it. But boy... we are getting fucked so many ways, in so many aspects. And this is just one more example, and just a quick tangent, besides this. So video games is like a luxury thing, right? You don't need it to live. It's a hobby. Video games is not a right, and the same thing for like action figures. I'm a big action figure guy. And like every single thing that I buy for action figures is all going up 30, 35, 40% for no fucking reason other than Trump's a goddamn fucking moron who's trying to destroy America. So I think anybody who has any kind of fucking hobby has to look forward to shit like for the next whoever knows how long, right? Like, ugh, God, talk about depressing, dude.
Well, I'm not going to talk about depressing, and I'm going to talk about video games. What's the first one on the docket?
Let's talk about video games. All right, cool. So looking at what we have left on the docket for this week, I have you talking about Police Shootout for the PlayStation 5. I sent you a code for this a while ago. I don't know anything about it, so you were like, "Yeah, man, I'll be a police person shooting some people," and I go, "Okay, here you go." So tell us all about it.
Well, I played it on the Xbox actually because we.
Oh, is it? I thought it was PS5.
Yeah, we were starting on the PS5. It's on both.
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay, Xbox.
So I ended up playing on the Xbox. And yeah, I think I'm always like the guinea pig for like, let me try a weird game.
Oh, sure.
And I love simulation stuff, not just for like my glitch to the ground videos, but also just because it's just fun to do. But here's a surprising thing. This game has more to it than I thought, like way more to it. And now, this is the kind of TLDR. Was that it? TDLR? TLDR?
Yeah, TLDR, yeah.
Is that, like, I want more games like this. And I did not think I'd be saying that about a game I was like,
interesting.
This is kind of a budget title. I don't know what this is. So
okay, so I don't know nothing about it. So like top down, what is this?
Yeah, so it's
game
an indie game, obviously. It's a smaller studio, a developer. I didn't look it up. You can look it up maybe.
Probably won't.
And it's a was it first person or third person? First person, and it has cutscenes, and you play as a cop, and at the very beginning there's like that boring thing that I just sped through, which is like training at the training center. You're training to be a cop. Here's how you shoot. All this kind of
It's
stuff.
like tutorial. Kind of
Tutorial.
stuff.
How do you sneak? How do you do like stealthy stuff? I just did a couple and skipped it all because I was like, I know how to do this shit.
Okay.
So then you go on missions and you have a map, and so it's a graphical map. You pick a mission. So I pick like domestic, dispute. It's whatever at grocery store. And so I went there. You just drive there. It's cutscene. You get out of your car. I'll tell you what the first one was. Minor spoiler for this game. And it's two guys fighting, but they were like, hey, listen, we're going to get over this fighting, over this fender bender, but you should probably go in the grocery store because there's gunshots.
Oh, geez.
So it's like a lead
Okay.
in to another thing. So I go...
Escalating situation.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but the gameplay is you go into a situation like that and you problem solve and you kind of detective. So you talk to people, they give you ideas of like what's going on. When you talk to certain people, if you unlock things like, I had this one guy go, hey, the bathroom in that grocery store is locked, but I think someone's in there and I hear, danger, blah, blah. So he gave me the key because I had to talk to him to get the key. Right.
Okay.
So if I just ran in there and nothing would have happened.
Right.
So I went in there and like there's, gunshots and there's people in there that are, bad guys or whatever. And I'm talking to some victims and then they unlock things by me talking to them and I tell them to stay there. Then when there's actually fighting, like gunshots, the shooting, it's like a timed game. So it's not like just real time, blasting fools. It's like a timed game. So you're like kind of aiming and like, what is it when you wait for the little, like,
the reticle,
the reticle or
it's like-
something? Yeah.
is it like a QTE or it's not a QTE?
No, it's like a time thing. What are those things called? Where like you're watching the thing go back and forth, left and right, and then you hit it in the middle.
Oh, like there's a meter where you gotta like
Yeah.
click it in the green zone or something.
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. It's a green
Okay.
zone thing. So you're doing that, and so you can get good at that, so you don't feel like it's like, you have to really be quick response time or whatever. And so you're doing that for shooting, and then you just keep learning more about the situations that's going on by talking to people. And it's just kind of a mixture of like detective and some combat. And then you're like leveling up a little bit too. I don't know. It's so confusing, but I just really enjoyed how they set up the mission. I was like, this is a fun take that I didn't think that was going to be this kind of game. A better example is I went to a hotel where there was another domestic dispute and it turned out to be like some guy had kidnapped somebody. And so then even after I like solved the mystery and shot someone, bad guy, I had to find the woman who was, trapped somewhere. And so then I had to like go ask people questions. Then I finally found out that she was in this truck and I saved her. So it's a really weird combination that I was not expecting. And I was like, oh, I think I want more games like this.
This sounds to me, just based on what you said, and I didn't know anything about this game before we started talking. This sounds like something that would be kind of like semi-experimental on the PS2 back when developers were still kind of like throwing stuff on the wall to see what stuck.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's this kind of interesting mix of detective elements plus a little bit of action in there to kind of change it up. Is it comparable to anything that you think? Like, is any other game kind of similar to this that maybe people would know?
No. Yeah, that's the thing.
Interesting.
It does feel like that kind of indie game that was just being tried out, like, hey, let's try this on a new system.
Well, let me ask you then. Okay, so a couple questions. So is this like funny or is it like serious?
Yeah, it's mainly serious with a little bit of like, I wouldn't say funny, but there's still some moments, I'm trying to think of some moments that were actually
Like it's
funny.
not like a comedy game. Like
No.
it's not a like lighthearted
No.
like police comedy or
No, you're
anything
like
that,
trying
right?
to figure out these situations that seem rough,
Okay.
like a grocery store shootout. Oh, that's the thing. Like in the grocery store shootout, I figured out that it was like actually tied to the mafia or something. And there's like this other scene, the other kind of like thing going on. And then there's like, all these cases are kind of collected in your dossier or whatever, So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's another game like it. It's really interesting.
All right, one more question,
Yeah.
and we'll move on after this. So, do you get the sense, and maybe you don't know, I'm guessing there's probably not a lot of information on this on the web, but are there branching storylines? Does it seem like maybe if you get an investigation wrong, you will not solve the case, or does it seem like there's choice points, or does it seem kind of linear in that sense in terms of narrative?
Yeah, I think it really does feel like there's an ending to it, I don't.
But no, like branching that you've
I don't
noticed at all.
know.
Like maybe if you didn't get the key to the bathroom, maybe you would have done something else, or you would have just said, "Oh, the situation's over." You wouldn't have unlocked that other part, or anything like that you can
No,
tell.
I feel like there's an ending to each one of those scenes, and you're
Okay, like a
just
definite.
yeah, and
Okay.
you just have to like dig around to find it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, which is not bad. That's not a criticism in any way. I just want to get a sense of like
Yeah.
what kind of a game this is, because this is like literally nowhere on my radar. But after hearing you talk about it, that does seem like the kind of thing I'd like to know. Oh, one last question: did you finish this or not yet?
No, I didn't finish it. I just did like 4 missions or something, and had a great time. So it's like something I can always go back to.
All right, I'm gonna mark this one down. Maybe I'll go check this out. This seems like kind of a fun thing. So okay, and it's called just Police Shootout, correct?
Yeah, it's like generic name. Sorry, developers. But it's almost like I feel like they knew it. Although no, what? I'm actually gonna take them to task on that. I think if they would have changed the name to something to what I just described, it might have gotten more eyeballs, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it does sound like a very generic kind of like shovelware game. But what
yeah,
you're describing sounds pretty interesting.
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
All right, that is Police Shootout. I'm going to go check it out, actually. You've kind of got my interest peaked on this one.
Cool.
Let's move on to not really a circle back, but kind of sort of maybe an update for Trailmakers. I talked about this in the show a million years ago, but there's been a huge update and change. It's now called, or I guess the update's called Trailmakers Pioneers. Carlos, are you familiar with Trailmakers from back in the day?
I know the name. I'm gonna look it up. I forgot it.
All right. It released a while ago. I don't know how long ago, like a couple years, I feel like, but maybe longer than that. Who knows? But Trailmakers, when it came out, was basically like a you build your own vehicle. You got like lots of like Lego-ish parts,
Oh yeah.
frames, wheels, axles, and then it just like spiraled up out of there. I've seen people make mech suits and, tankers and, airplanes and all sorts of spaceships, even all that kind of stuff. And I liked it because I think it was pretty easy to use at the time and it was pretty intuitive for the most part. But the thing that was lacking for me was like a story mode. And for me, and that's not a problem for everybody, but for me, I'm very goal oriented. I'm also very finish line oriented. Like I very rarely will I play a game where I just play it just for the fun of it. Like even it can be as fun as possible, but I still want to like roll credits, or I want to have a point at which I can be done with it and my brain goes, okay, I can move on, and I don't get like anxiety or whatever from it. So I like to finish games. And at the time when I played the original Trailmakers, that just wasn't there. And I'm like, okay, this is really neat, but there's not a story mode and I can't play this because it's just playing it for fun's sake, which to me is kind of an alien concept, and that sounds weird to say
That's
on a
funny.
games podcast.
I don't play games for fun. I play them to beat them or
I mean,
figure out the
kinda.
story, which is I'm in the same boat, by the way.
Sort of, yeah. I like just have like these episodes, these limited encounters with
Yes,
games.
yeah.
Not looking for a lifelong commitment thing. But so they dropped this update recently, and it just came to, I want to say, PS5 and Xbox, possibly Switch. I didn't check because we don't do research on the show. But it's Trailmakers Pioneers, and they finally put in literally exactly the thing that I was wanting them to do. The Pioneers update is like a full-on story-based campaign
Oh,
mode
perfect.
with side quests and an actual ending, goals, leveling up. It like totally gave every single thing that I wanted it to have in the past, and now it's here.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is fucking amazing, and it's just as good as I wanted it to be. So basically, the Pioneers update, you start fresh, brand new campaign. You're a builder kind of guy with your little magic building gun. You're going to go on this supposed to be super boring mission, dropping off supplies on this planet of frogs, frog people. They're very cute looking. And then as soon as you get there, you're like, oh shit, the evil corporation is here, and they're drilling through the frog village to get, I don't know, oil or resources or something.
Ugh.
We got to stop these guys, right? Okay, so, it's not Hemingway. It's not going to like change your perspective on the human condition, but it doesn't need to. It really doesn't need to. All you need to have, for me anyway, series of discrete goals and quests and an objective, right? So you start, and they start you off with like, hey, let's build a super basic car. And I'm like, yes, walk me through this thing, because I haven't touched this game in a million years. So they walk you through the car. The tutorial is pretty good up until you get a little further into. I'll get to that in a second. You build a car. They teach you to drive it around. You talk to one of the frog people. He kind of gives you some tutorial stuff. And then they're like, all right, here's the world. And the world is fairly open. And you just do what you want to do. You can collect some stuff, collect resources. You build your pieces. You get to the frog village. There's like a number of side quests there where they're like, hey, collect me 3 of this thing or 4 of this other thing, which is fine. But there's also a main story quest. And the story quest is like, hey, let's say, for example, I need you to go rescue these frogs who are trapped over on the other side of this ridge. No problem. You drive your car over there. and it's got like real physics. So you're like, the car's like bumping and you're steering over like rough terrain and all that stuff. You can change the tires, change the engine. Like the whole thing is like completely like customizable. You make whatever friggin' vehicle you want as long as you got the parts. You get there and it's like 4 frogs and your car only holds one. So you're like, dilemma. And then that's when like the building comes back in. I need to somehow reconfigure my parts to make sure that I can fit me plus 4 frogs and then get back to town. So like you take your car apart, you tinker with it, move some seats around, craft a few things because you've been collecting stone and rubber along the way, and then you make like a little station wagon jobby, and then like they hop in and ribbit, you like drive them back to town, and it's like boom, quest over. And so you've learned a little bit about how the game works physics wise. You've also learned about how the mixing and matches the pieces works. You got to use your creativity because there's no right answer. I could have made anything as long as 4 frogs fit into it. I could have made a big box.
Yeah.
I could have made a really long narrow car. I could have made anything.
It reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie, remember? Was it?
Yeah, that one, the car nuts and bolts.
Yeah, where you
nuts
like
and bolts. Exactly.
You could like do it any way you want, but you're like still beating the mission that way.
That's exactly it, right? Like they give you the mission, and you've got enough parts, so you just figure out like what is it going to take to do this. The first time I made a car, the wheelbase wasn't wide enough. I flipped over. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. I like go back into the builder, which is very easy to use, by the way. Very simple, very intuitive. I like it a lot. And you just flip the car around, you widen the wheelbase, put different wheels, maybe move the engine around or something, because weight plays a factor too, balance plays a factor, just like, real world physics in it. And then it works, and you go do your thing, and then you're done. You get some points, you level up a little bit. The more you level up, you get some new parts unlocked in the video. And this is not a spoiler at all, but they show cars, they show airplanes, they show boats, they show spaceships. And then I think when you go back to the home screen, they show like mech suits, and they show all sorts of weird stuff that people make. So I think the campaign is exactly what I wanted from this game. I'm so glad that they finally made it happen. Makes my heart happy because I felt like this game was screaming out for that kind of content. So it's finally here,
cool,
which is great. It still looks fun. I'm just having a blast with it. It's just really fun to tool around these things and to put the cars together and then go on these missions. And then you feel like you did something. Like I saved the frogs, got back to town. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to put this down now. I feel like I did something. I'll come back to it tomorrow. And it just, It all works.
Dude, I'm the same way. If like Banjo-Kazooie again, nuts and bolts, I kept playing that game because there was missions, right? There's something to beat and somewhere to get to, and the making of the stuff was additive, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
I will say, just as a quick, before we sign off here, I will say it's a little bit tiny glitchy in a few places. I got stuck one time because the tutorial screen at the top, like whenever you change your vehicle, it'll tell you in real time at the top of the screen what your new controls are. So like if you've got a car, but then you add like a gun to it, like the controls for the gun will pop up. And if you put like a miner to like dig minerals and stuff on, that control will pop up. And sometimes the controls don't pop up right. And so I needed to like do a grappling hook thing, and I couldn't figure out how the grappling hook worked. It's just because the control didn't pop up, so I wasn't pushing the right button. So a little bit slightly glitchy there. I think a little bit slightly more tutorialization when you get into the higher end stuff would be fine. But overall, really fun. And if you want more than just the campaign, you can go back to like the main portion of the game, which is like the do your own thing. There's also like a bunch of stuff online, a bunch of stuff to download. This game's been out for a couple years, so all sorts of user creations and new parts and so forth and so on. So I got to say, it's been really fucking fun. I like it a lot. I'm so glad they did it, and I'm having a blast, and I definitely want to play all the way through this. I'm not done with it yet, but having just a great time. So big kudos to Trailmakers Pioneers. I love seeing a game get something so right.
Kudos, and I haven't done this for a while. Check it out.
Check it out.
You got to bring that back, bro.
Oh, you got to bring it back, dude.
Well, yeah, but you could also just do it randomly.
Nah, that's a
it's true. It's me thing.
Doesn't sound right when I do it.
All
right, dude. Moving on to a game that, like, ironically, I didn't know anything about. And then all of a sudden it like blew up, and like everybody who writes for me at Game Critics was talking about this like out of nowhere. It kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
But the first Berserker, Khazan, just released a demo, and I think the full game is going to be out pretty soon. I have not tried the demo yet, but Carlos, you did. You want to tell us all about it?
Yeah. Crazy. Obviously, it's Souls-like. I say obviously. Maybe because it's this podcast, obviously it's a Souls-like. We play all of them, but yeah, no, it's a Souls-like, and I think maybe the obviously was that tons of people are talking about it now. People like to, try the new flavor of the week when it comes to Souls-like.
Sure.
And this demo was out for a while, actually, which is pretty cool. And they let you just kind of like, there's like kind of a grinding mechanic in it, which I'll get to. So you could just like play it for ever, really, if you didn't like beat it. So that's what I did, really, is I kind of just lived in the world of the demo for a very long time. But yeah, it's based on that. Is it Dungeon Fighter? Some weird IP.
Oh, is it based on something? I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
maybe look it up. I forgot. But there's like a series,
Like books or what?
a gaming series. I think it's an online thing.
I'll look it
Yeah,
up.
I think it's Dungeon Fighter or something. But, loosely because this is its own game and it's a Souls-like. But it's third person, Souls-like, sword, hack and slash monsters, that type of game. Very stylized. I like the style a lot, like bold outline characters. So almost cartoony in a way. But the key thing is you play as a character who got wrongfully accused of something and then tortured, and then you're like pretty much like really beat up and bad shape, kind of escape, and this demon takes you over and gives you all these powers. And the whole idea is that now you're back from the dead, kind of, or back from the tortured, and you're like gonna go try to enact revenge because you were wrongfully accused, and now you have this demon helping you out with all these powers and stuff. But then you like just pick up two weapons and you're dual wielding and you're just like fighting, so it's just still a fighting game. And there's not actually a ton of demon powers, even though the demon took you over. It just feels like now it's a Souls game. Did you figure out what it is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called Dungeon and Fighter,
Dungeon and
it's
Fighter.
from Nexon, which is also there's a Tencent part where there's a mobile. It seems like a series that's pretty big in
Huge
Asia. There's
mobile.
an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something that would have. I can see why I haven't heard of it before. It doesn't seem like it would have triggered my radar.
Right, it's just off of that world or whatever. But it's its own thing. And so the key takeaways are this. One, I think it's very good in the fact that, that there's a dodge. It's not amazing. It's pretty good. You don't go very far. I would like you to go a little farther. But when you do the dodge, there's two different types of dodge and parry. So there's a dodge and there's a parry. Then there's I forget what they call it, blink or brink dodge, and blink or brink parry, which means if you've done it perfectly, right? So if you dodge perfectly, let's call it a perfect dodge. If you do a perfect dodge, it does a really satisfying like sound and like blink, like animation. So it just makes it. It's hard for me to explain it till you play it, but it just makes it really cool when you've done it. And so the same thing with the parry, which I don't like parrying, but I was doing it a lot more in this game because it felt very satisfying. Like the key takeaway is that everything in the game has weight. So when you swing, you feel the weight. Of course, I'm feeling the rumble controller as well. But everything feels like impact feels good. Weight of the swords feel good. Like say you swing and you miss, the swords hit the ground for a while. You know what I mean? And you kind of pick them back up. And then when you do the dodge, if you did it right, you feel the weight of them crashing behind you. I can't explain it, but it is yummy. And for me to keep playing a Souls-like, which generally I don't want to, especially if they're difficult, and this game is fucking difficult, is like all of the mechanics felt so good, I just had to go back. I was like, yeah, okay, I died a bunch there, but let me just try it again because it's just fun. So that's the main thing. Okay, so the whole demo you play up into a big boss. I, as the time of this recording, have not beat him yet. But
the demo
boss.
Okay.
And it's fucking insane. And it's one of those things that I hate, which is you have to memorize everything. So, like, I get it. He's going to do that. He's going to do that. He might do that. He's probably going to do that. And then they give him 1,000,000 hit points, right? Which is my first true tangent of the show, which is I just don't understand how that makes difficulty fun. Like, if I had to beat Milena in Elden Ring or some other huge boss, I felt satisfied when I beat them because I like understood how to beat them or I made up my own strategy. But I feel like it was, I don't know, I feel like it was fair lots of times when it comes to how many hit points they had. And in Khazan, it's not. Like they just give them 1,000,000. And I'm like, well, this isn't fun now because even though I literally beat that demo boss almost to the very end. And then he had like way more hit points than I did, and I was out of health potions. So it just feels like a war of attrition, and I hate that about games. So minus the hit point business, the actual gameplay is fucking fantastic. And I just played the demo. I just grinded for a while, and I found a gear set, like loot drops, like random drops. And so I got a full gear set, like that was like really helpful for the boss. And it's just a fun world to exist in. So I want to recommend it, but I just hate that idea of a million hit points. But I'll say this. One of my favorite YouTubers, Click for Gameplay. Is that what it is? Click for Gameplay?
No idea.
Oh, and I said my favorite YouTubers, and I don't know the name. I'm going to look it up. But
you love him that much?
Yeah,
huh?
I know. No, I used to be his Patreon. Click for Gameplay. It's like an old school name. Yeah, Click for Gameplay. But he just like went over it, and I was like, the one reason I might go back is when you unlock the actual game, not the demo, there's an easy mode.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be worthwhile.
If all that did was knock the hit points down, I'd be so in. But I don't know what it does, so I have to look it up.
I got some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got some questions here. Okay. So this sounds fine. I know a lot of people are excited about it. It's interesting because I haven't heard of a good Souls-like in a while. And then we had like 2 that a lot of people are excited about. This one, Khazan, and then also AI Limit just came out, which is also kind of like an anime-flavored Souls-like. People are very excited
Which,
about.
by the way, I put the demo of that as well, if you want to talk about it.
Oh, did you? Okay, well, let's talk about that in a second. So I guess in terms of Khazan, world design, are we talking about like open world? Are we talking about like regular kind of levels, or like what kind of like world design are we talking about?
I forgot what it's like to be back on the podcast. Here's what
because we got to explain.
No, I know, but I love it because I go blah right when I talk about a game, and then you go, okay, I have 4 questions.
Tell me more.
So, which is great for our listeners. So I'm glad you do it. This is not open world; it's open area.
Okay.
And it's not as tight as some of the Souls games, and also like sometimes it doesn't let you go back though, because I'm in this area right now near the boss, and I can't go back to the beginning. So that's. But by the way, I've not even opened the game up, so it's hard for me to explain this fully. But it seems like it's just all these open zones.
Gotcha.
And I will say this to add on to that: when you open the game up, which fuck me, I'm gonna buy it tonight, son of a bitch.
Talking yourself into
do.
it.
Because when you open the game up, you actually can pick different weapons. The whole demo is just you dual wielding, and the minute you open the game up, I believe you can get sword, spear, and all the different things. So
okay, I was going to ask you if there was like weapon variety.
Yeah, it's all there, but it's like past the boss, and probably in the main game. So like I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of the pairing, that's always like a real big red flag for me, because I think pairing's fine when you do it well, but very few games seem to do it well. So I guess with your experience in this demo, and maybe there's options for this in the full game or who knows what, but like what is the pairing like? Is it like you got to have really, really good reflexes, or is it like wide open pairing, or like what do you like? How tight is the window for that?
Man, because we should have like a score meter, like 0 to 10 of like how much
Parry
it sucks.
scores? Yeah, we should. Yes.
So let's just say that we're going to create it right now. And what's the one? Once like Sekiro, I would say is like a 10, right, or a 9.
No. Okay, how about this? So for us, because we like easy pairing, like the easiest parry in the world, I'm actually playing. I don't know if you heard this or not, but I was playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh yeah.
You can parry. You've got like 17 minutes.
Yeah, it's like
to parry
25
in that
minutes.
game.
Yeah.
You can parry before you even start the encounter, and it counts.
You can
So
parry
that's like a
tomorrow
10.
or yesterday, and it still
It
gets
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The parry, yes, that is a 10. And I think doing
I
like
get it.
Sekiro, where you have to like literally count frames and like be accurate to within 0.025 of a second, is like a 1.
I got it.
So like,
okay.
So where does this fall on the
I'm
pairing
so glad we
scale?
made the scale. By the way, no one else, I think no other podcast has a scale, so we're the first.
Trademarked.
I don't think they do. So, okay, this is and by the way, there's points given because it's satisfying when you do it. Right? Because like
that's a
Sekiro
plus.
and other ones,
That's a
I
plus,
just feel like I had to, and if I didn't, I die. But this one, it's like such a cool explosion. Like literally there's an animation when you do it. So that adds points, but it's still tough. I'd say it's like a 5.
So like
Right in the middle. Because you're like,
so you do need to have some reflexes.
you do, but then when you do it, it's great. And I've done it more times than I haven't. Let's just say that. So it's inching towards 6.
Follow-up question. Follow-up question. Now, I know we're getting the weeds.
We are
of the
way
pairing,
in the
but
weeds.
but it's a problem. It's a real problem,
is.
right? It can be the difference between having a good experience and having a miserable one. So when you're about to parry, is it simply that you are just looking at the animation of the enemy character, or is there like a flash of red
There's a flash.
or like an exclamation? Okay, so if you can see the flash,
Yeah,
then that's when
I'm
you know.
pretty
Okay,
sure there's a
okay.
flash. I'm gonna go double check,
Okay.
but I think there's a tell. And on top of that, this is beautiful. One of the mini bosses I just practiced on because the mini boss, by the way, in Khazan demo is the same as the main boss at the end.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's like they literally give you a boss to like mess with. That is the same as the big boss. So I was practicing with him, and when you block and don't parry, it still blocks. So it feels
gotcha.
good. You know, they're like, okay, I missed the parry, but I still fucking blocked.
But you didn't eat shit.
I didn't
because you
eat
missed
shit.
the
Other
parry,
games have done that where you go, oh, I didn't do it right. I just ate shit. So this one is
You
like,
take the
I
hit,
didn't
yeah.
take damage still. I'm like, cool, you know?
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good that's a concession which I approve of. So okay.
One more question,
All right.
and then I have one more thing to say. Well, do you have another question or no?
No, that was it.
This is
you
the
hit
other
all my stuff.
positive. Every time you fight the boss, and I think other things too, you can level up your weapons. So the weapons have mastery, like you would in Oblivion or something, or Skyrim, where like you get better when you use the weapon. And if you do that while you're fighting a boss, you still get the XP on the weapon. And then on top of that, whatever like kind of what's it called? It's called lacra. It's some sort of like, juice or whatever you get, from like defeating enemies. If you do that when you're fighting the boss and then you lose, you go back out and your stuff is in front of where the boss is. You don't have to go back in there.
Oh, okay. So you don't lose your
You don't
resources,
lose.
and you don't have to initiate the fight
No,
again.
and get this, you don't just not lose it, you gain more.
Oh, okay, good. That's pretty progressive.
Isn't that cool?
All right,
like you
cool.
you
Yeah.
always gain like 500 more. And I'm like, "Oh, I'll keep fighting the boss then."
Well, that's a really smart design, because if you're throwing yourself up against a boss and losing, what sense does it make to like take those resources away or get depleted, or you have to like, oh, I don't want to lose this thing because I got to keep fighting because I don't want to, I don't want to lose all my souls or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a real smart move. I definitely approve of that for sure. Something that is more player friendly and gets away from being punitive just for being punitive's sake, I think is a smart move.
So I'm recommending it, even though it's really hard. I'm just gonna, I'll probably mess around tonight and get the full game and see the easy mode because I just want less hit points. But other than that, recommend.
Right on. All right. That is the first Berserker Khazan. Carlos playing the demo is going to buy the full game tonight, and it's available. I think the demo's available everywhere now, right? All right, excellent. Okay, so Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, Carlos, I don't know if you heard or not, but I did cover this game a week or 2 weeks ago. I was sent a copy by Ubisoft, and we did do a full review at GameCritics.com. My basic takeaway, just so you know, before you tell us your opinion, was I didn't care for this game very much. I thought it was really boring. I thought I had a lot of problems with it, and it did not hit for me the way I wanted it to, even though I was really, really excited about it. I was excited about playing the two characters and being ninja and also samurai stuff. I was really open to what the possibilities were, but the game just did not click, and that's actually what drove me to play Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which I enjoyed quite a bit more. So I'm kind of down on this game right now. It's just not working for me. And ironically, I'll just say this up front. Whenever I hear people who talk about this game, and this, I'm not calling anybody out here at all. This is just an observation I've made talking to a wide variety of people in a wide variety of places. The number one thing I hear people talk about is how beautiful the scenery is. And I just couldn't give a fuck about that. It's like, if the game is not fun, if the story is not good, if it's not hooking me, I really fucking don't care how beautiful the scenery is. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So with that said, you tell me what you think about this game, Carlos.
Well, the two thoughts I have is the first is, it's all about expectation. It's the same, right? So if you don't want Assassin's Creed, it's probably not for you. That's it. You can just kind of like TLDR right there, right? Because it's the same. Yeah. It's a million missions, a million things. But if you're like me and you're kind of in that mode where you want to kind of escape somewhere, and like I've had, open worlds do for me, it can be really cool, and you're in the mood for that. Secondly, is the story really did grow on me. Like, it is definitely like a old school, like Japanese drama, like a movie.
Very
much.
straightforward, dude.
But because I played more than you have, I'm guessing.
You did. I played about 8 hours is what I played.
I'm 30 almost in. I feel like
Okay.
I'm fucking in the game. The whole idea is you play as two characters. Generally not my favorite thing to do, but it totally works because you have two perspectives of the same kind of war that's going on in Japan by having two characters. And one is the woman, Nora. Is that her name? Nora?
Naue.
And she's incredible. I think the actress, the voice actress is amazing. And I just, you have to be in. And in the beginning, they kind of try to pull you in quickly on the fact that her dad dies, and you kind of go through this whole traumatic thing with her. And then you play the game. You just kind of start the game. I like her gameplay, by the way, just as a gameplay front. Like, it's fun to play a ninja. And
just like the ninja stealth stuff.
It feels really fun. And the dodge and stuff. But then I think it really picked up for me is when I got to be Yasuke. So Yasuke is an actual historical figure.
Yeah, which is so cool.
Yeah, an African-American samurai.
No, just African. No American.
Oh, okay, there you go. An African.
He never went to America.
Right, because he was
he's just
Portuguese
African.
slave. And he was a bodyguard for these Portuguese. And he learned Portuguese. And, again, real person. And
it's funny that we say it reflexively, right? Like we say African American, but actually no, he was just straight up African.
Yeah. And he was, and he, had something about him that Lord Nobunaga was one of the. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. But
no, you got it.
Okay,
Nobunaga,
yeah,
you got
he, there's this huge lord in Japan, feudal times, and stern and a tyrant, but also kind of weirdly had respect and cared about honor and all that kind of stuff. Like you would think. But
he saw the innate badassery.
He saw something in him, yeah.
Game recognized game. I see you player. Like he knew what was going on.
And
he got it.
Once you get to be him, you can pick between both of them, which you probably already covered. But it's just like his backstory is so powerful, and
his is
I don't know if you've seen all of it, but
there's
some incredible stuff I just finished last night that I was like, am I crying? No, I'm not crying, but I am feeling it. Like, it's fucking. I just felt what it was like to be him, a smidge. Of course, it's a video game.
Sure.
But I think that's what great art can do too. To speak highly of it is like, oh, I'm living both of their lives. And again, this is almost like really high praise, but that's what Assassin's Creed can do. Like in Native American, you can play in one of the games. You can play.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Different perspectives. And I think that is one of the things that I did not expect to get out of this. I was like, I'm just going to go do missions. But I was like, oh, shit, I'm feeling things. I really feel Yasuke's, journey. I mean, they do some amazing cutscenes that you wouldn't think I'd just be like, I'd want to skip them. But no, they were really telling the story. So long story short, I'm in, and I'm going to beat this fucking game. My only con is this. Similar to Khazan, hit points are dumb. Hit points in the games are dumb. I'm just over hit points. Lots of hit points, I'm over it. So I just turned this down to not easy, but the one above it, which is assisted or something. And all it did was fucking make it easier to kill people. And it should be, because guess what? He's a samurai, right?
Sure.
So I just think that it's such a bloated, to all devs, it's such a bloated thing to just make hit points. Because you hit a guy 2 times with a sword, they're probably dead, right?
Yeah. So in the real world, you cannot take 75 sword hits.
So I turned it down, and guess what? It just feels realistic now. So by doing that, it just makes me want to beat it more, and I'm high praise for it, man. I'm 8s in my mind, 7s, 8s, maybe 8.
Right on. Well, I'm glad you're liking it. I'm glad you're liking it because I was real hype. And I found it so boring. I found it pretty regressive in terms of Assassin's Creed design. I felt okay, so number one, I didn't think Naoe's story was interesting or compelling at all. I found it really boring and really cliche, and I just wasn't here for it. I thought Yasuke's story was cool, and I wanted more from him, but you got to play a pretty significant amount of time with Naoe before you get back to Yasuke,
make you
which
go
was a
a
huge
while.
bummer.
Yeah, they do.
It's too long. I think
it's
too long. But the map I felt was way too big. There's lots of dead space in the map where there's forests and stuff. Some of the objectives and stuff were just really boring. Right off the bat, praying at the shrines is super boring. Finding little pages of paper in the temples is super boring. There's a lot of stuff in this game that I felt was just really, really dull. And I a lot of people say the story gets good later on, but I put 8 hours into it, and I was bored, dude. I was dying for better storytelling and more being involved in it. And I said this already, but just to recap, so I got bored of this, and I'm like, this sucks. I really was in the mood for this, and so I went over to Black Flag. I've never played it before, and it was $7 on PSN or something, literally $7, right? And so I buy the version, and within the first 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in. I'm laughing. I get a sense of who this character is. Things are moving at a good pace. They set the situation up pretty quickly, and like you just get into it. Like the whole writing, the whole approach to it was just so different, and I just really appreciated that more. And maybe it's a personal thing. I'm not like a Japanophile. Just seeing the Torii Gates and the cherry blossoms isn't enough to win me over. And I don't really care about like how beautiful the scenery is. I want to be involved in a different way. And if other people like it, that's cool. Like I'm not hating on it. But for me, it was just like a giant miss. And it was like, oh man, it's so tedious to get through.
Yeah, I would say this to kind of back up the people on the environments. The weather is really incredible, I think, because like
Yeah, it looks great. But
well, I mean, just
just don't
experiencing it, like at night, headphones. A thunderstorm comes in. It's the cracks of lightning are insane. The rain feels real. It's hitting my controller because I have PS5. It's pretty damn good. And I would agree with you on the mechanics, though. There's some stuff that's just silly and takes too long, and the map is too big. But there's a thing where you can unlock these little, what are they called? Like hideouts you can unlock for money. And you don't have to travel. I don't know if you know that, but you don't have to travel at all. You can just unlock the hideouts. And I turned everything on easy, remember again? Accessibility.
Right.
So these are the keys that I think that, yeah, of course it could just come with a vanilla version, but because I unlocked all the places, everything is shown to me. So I can see where it is. Can see where I have to go. No detective work. I'm not, and also I'm not.
You don't have to engage with the spy
And
system.
I'm not picking up any cherry blossoms or fucking origami. I'm not doing any of that shit, right? I'm just going for the story and figuring it out. And then you unlock these little hideouts next to the area of the story bits. So once you do that, you don't have to travel anywhere.
Yeah, and I was fast traveling everywhere already. I wasn't really bothering with all that.
But I did, by the way, I did grind for a while just to have fun, and I did just take my horse and go find bandit camps and did that for a bit. But now I'm just like locked in the story, so I just want to finish this and see what it is. So I think there's positives and negatives. I will say this. That British one? What's the British Assassin's Creed?
The English one with the twins or whatever? I didn't play that one. I forget what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Syndicate?
Maybe. You could say any word, I wouldn't know what it is. It's so fucking good, though. And that girl is such a kick-ass.
So what makes that one good? Tell me what
Britain, the England that they do is like spot on. And you just feel like totally in that environment. Again, you have to be in the mood for that.
And that's the one where you have a train as your base, right?
Yes, the train. And then the woman, she does a lot of melee. Like, she does sword and her knife and stuff. But, like, it just feels badass to fight with her. By the way, it feels badass to fight with Yasuke, too. Like, I'm, like, cutting people's limbs off and stuff.
Yeah. His parts I thought were pretty fun. I actually enjoyed his a little bit more than Naoe's, honestly.
And I did like... I was in the story with that one, too, with the Britain one. So, yeah, whatever. I think it's just really fun for me.
Right on. Well, as long as you're enjoying it, that's cool. I'm glad you found something that you clicked with. And clearly a lot of people are liking it too. I think I'm certainly the odd duck when it comes to this one because it just didn't click. But on the plus side, it did drive me to finally play Black Flag, which I think is actually really amazing, is really quite good. So there we go. One more game, and then we're going to wrap the show here. Monster Hunter Wilds,
Whoa.
Carlos. Now, I talked about this earlier. I'm happy to circle back. And in fact, this is good timing for you because I have now played enough to where I feel comfortable giving it an official score, which I will do here on the show.
Okay, I will too then.
But since I already covered it a little bit, we will talk about your experience first, and then we'll circle back to my stuff. So quickly, I think folks kind of know that I'm like the Monster Hunter guy, which is all fine, well and good. But Carlos, tell us a little bit about your background. I have you in my mind pegged as being not the Monster Hunter guy, but tell us about your relationship with the series. Where are you coming from on this?
Well, I've talked about it on the show, if you remember, over the course of many years.
But it's been a while.
But I generally don't like it. I don't like the sharpening of swords, which they still have, which is still really dumb.
They do. Still a thing.
Sword is still sharp. Doesn't need to be sharpened. But they make it easier, as you probably obviously know, that you can sharpen it on your horse or your mount. And so that makes it easier.
I do call it a horse, by the way,
nice,
despite
good.
the fact that it looks like a dinosaur. I call it my horse.
And so in general, I played Monster Hunter Worlds, liked it because it was a little more accessible. And I think I didn't beat that, but I did like it a little more. But I still was annoyed. Because I just don't ever want to, collect all that shit and do all the things. There's, lots of things to do and collect and plan. I don't want to do any of that strategy, I just want to fight things. So
all right.
I'm generally not that Monster Hunter person. This is probably my favorite one because it's just a no-brainer. I think the devs were like, okay, let's bring everybody in and streamline the campaign. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
They made it, in quotes, easier. It is.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the main dragon I was fighting, spoiler, main bad monster thing at the end of the campaign, I was like, oh, I got this. You know, like there
Yeah.
was like no thought in my mind. I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, and so when I beat it, it's like when the game starts, that bullshit. And you know, you can go 3 more chapters of stuff. So I might go back with my friends, you know, and maybe even you, and do some multiplayer stuff because I like my character. I had a pretty good time with it. It's not my favorite game still, but I liked it. I thought the campaign story was just garbage. I cared. I so didn't care about that kid. Just get him out of
Yes.
here, man. Get him out of here. I don't care what he thinks and what he's feeling, and if he wants to play games or how sad he is. I just never cared about that kid. And the fact that we were doing everything for him. And I don't love the idea of the end. You know, I'm not going to spoil it, but like what that, hidden message of what the story is about. No care. No care in my brain.
I don't even remember what I
The
mean, feel free to
Guardians or
spoil it,
whatever,
'cause
the things that are in the little eggs.
what was the message? I don't even gather what message.
Minor
What
spoiler
were they
right now
saying
for
with it?
1 minute.
Yeah,
They
go ahead.
created those monsters, and that's like a big reveal. They created monsters to protect them, and they're in like eggs, like clones.
Oh yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
No,
No
one
one
cares.
cares.
No one cares. No.
So yeah, I didn't care anything about the story. Had a good time. Beat it, which I've never done. So
Congratulations.
that's something, right?
Congratulations. Yes, that's definitely something.
But
Absolutely.
one big con, and you probably already talked about it, but you beat the game. You beat this massive monster. You feeling badass. They make you do your first mission after you beat the game. And I died like a million times to the bird guy. Because you got to capture it. And it's like, oh, yeah, you can capture things. Did you know that? Here's how you do it. Well, they don't really tell you very well. And then the bird just pecks me to death. And I just die over and over. And I go, oh, cool. Great thing for an endgame thing, buddy. Capture this thing that's going to peck you. Hated that.
I think you've kind of hit on one of my big complaints of this game. So, like, I have ups and downs with this game, right? Like, I think it's better than Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, I do too.
But also, Monster Hunter World was one of my least favorite Monster Hunters, like, in the entire series.
Right.
So, it was kind of a low bar. I talked about it before. I'm not going to get super into the weeds here. But, like, so to give you context on where I'm at, I rolled the initial credits. I want to say it was about 15 or 16 hours. So, you can, like, get to the end. The first part of the main campaign where you can just put the game down and be like, you know what, I had a good experience, this was fun, and I'm gonna bounce. So that's about 15 hours in. I'm like at 65 hours in. And so after you roll the credits the first time, there's like I mean, yeah, not to belittle anybody or anything, but like that's really like the tutorial. It's like 15 hours of tutorial, and it's miserable tutorial. And then once you get past that, that's when, like, again, like you said, that's when the real Monster Hunter begins. Like, that's when you get your options, you get different missions, you get different weapon upgrades, you get all sorts of like systems that open up that weren't there before. So I think that's kind of my big gripe about this game is like they put this really, really boring. I hate the fucking story. I hate the story. I hate that the story like makes you watch so much walking and talking. I don't care about the characters. It actually interferes with gameplay because there's several times I wanted to go do a mission and I couldn't do a mission because I had to go through the story mission first, or I've got a quest to turn in and the guide to give it to isn't there because you got to watch the cutscene first. And it's like, it's a problem. I find it very irritating. But they also don't prepare you for the real game. Like the trapping thing, like you just mentioned, you're exactly correct. The very first mission after you roll credits is go capture something. And they don't tell you anything about capturing that it even exists in the game until that point. It's like, why did you like make me play 15 hours and you haven't covered it at any point up until this point? So that part was a problem. Yeah, I have issues with this, but I will say, to be fair, on the other side of the coin here, once you get past that first quote unquote ending and you get into the main portion of the game where the story starts to take a backseat, where they start to unlock the systems that I think most Monster Hunter players are kind of looking for. They give you like more armor types, more upgrades, like more different systems. Like you unlock like a whole other, like 2 or 3 other systems that you've never even seen in the game up until that point. And you have a bunch of side quests that open up. Like it's all like side quests all the time. Like I don't know if you noticed, but in the main campaign, you get exactly, and I counted, you get exactly 1 side quest in the first 15 hours. All the rest of it is all main story quests. And then once you get past that, you've got like 50 side quests you can do, which is like more variety, gives you more choice. Go after different monsters you want to go after. So I think that makes the game better. Once you get into the, what I see anyway, as a longtime Monster Hunter guy, what I kind of wanted from the game doesn't appear until like 15, 20 hours in. At that point, I started really enjoying myself, where I'm like, okay, here's the stuff that I wanted. Here's the meatier stuff, the deeper stuff. It does get a lot harder. I'll say that for sure. It gets way harder. And that's fine too. I'm not a difficulty whore, but I do want to have like a reason to strategize. I do want to tweak my armor a little bit. I want to use some gems and do some powers and attributes and stuff that you don't really ever have to engage with in the first 15 hours or so. So there's a lot of stuff here. I think it is a legit Monster Hunter at some point, but getting through 15 hours is kind of a big ask. It's like you said, boring story, boring campaign, but the gameplay is okay, but still, for me anyway, it didn't really open up for quite a while. So I guess, Carlos, besides the capturing thing, you think you're going to go back? Do you think you're going to like engage with the other systems, or what do you think you want from Monster Hunter at this point, now that you've kind of rolled credits?
Well, the only thing is I know that there's 3 more chapters that I haven't done. So like I like story bits, like we just said in the beginning. So I might want to do those, right? And I might want to play with my friends. Like I have a couple of friends who are playing it, and I'm like, okay. Maybe I'll do that because I never do multiplayer. But in general, I got it. You know, like if that's what they wanted me to do, is like, to understand it and then be done. Well, success. You know, because I'm like, I might not have to go back. Yeah.
But you feel like you got a pretty good experience just from going through the story campaign and rolling credits once.
Yeah.
Like you feel satisfied.
Yeah. I think it was worth the purchase or whatever.
All right. That's pretty fair. So for me, I was going to come back and give this game my official review because, like I said, I'm like 50, 55 hours or something. I'm literally like, I think 2 fights away from the actual end of the campaign. And there's more, of course, there's more game. There's optional battles. There's new stuff updating all the time. They just added a brand new monster into the campaign. So forth and so on. So I think with everything I said in this show, everything I said in last show, and what I know is still in the game to come, I think I feel pretty comfortable giving this game like an 8.
Okay.
An 8 out of 10. But that's with the caveat that you have to get past the first 15 hours of it. And that's a huge ask. Like, I don't say that lightly. And I never want to be that whole, oh, it just gets good later kind of guy. But in this case, it really is true. Like, if you want a good Monster Hunter experience, for me anyway, it doesn't get good until 15 hours in, which sucks. But once I'm here and I've been having fun, I think an 8 is the right way to go.
I agree.
I'm going to give it an official 8.0.
8.0. I'm going to give it official, which is not even official because it doesn't probably mean anything. But I think it's a 7.
7 for Carlos. That's
solid 7. I was like, okay, this is fun. Yeah, and more fun than I've had it before. Another one. So.
Right on. Quick question for you. One more question. We're going to bounce and wrap the show here. The fishing minigame. Have you engaged in the fishing at all?
No, thank you, sir. No, thank you for the street fishing. I'm going to pass on that. I did it once or twice, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
I just wanted to check. I just wanted to check because, spoiler, the brand new monster they've included, which is called the Mizutsune, which I believe was originally from Monster Hunter Rise. It's a fan favorite. It's like a cherry blossom dragon. It makes pretty cool looking armor. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that one. I'm going to go back and fight that. You have to do the goddamn fishing mini games before you can get to that monster. And I'm like, no, I fucking hate the fishing. It's so bad. The fishing. This is the worst fishing this series has ever had. And it's probably some of the worst fishing I've ever played in my life. I fucking hate the fishing.
I did too.
Game. So anyway,
before we leave the review and the episode, I want to say that one of my biggest videos for Glitch to the Ground was I accidentally ran over. I was walking by in a town, and I ran over one of those little, what's the mount called?
Those dinosaur
guys. There's like little
that you read. They're called the sacred
or whatever. There's like baby sacrets that are in the village, and I just ran over one with like my feet, and it fell over, and I was like, "What the fuck? Did I hurt it?" And I turned back and looked, and it was getting back up. It actually I ran it over by walking by it. So I was like, I should probably see if this theory is correct. So I just, ran over a bunch more. And they kept falling into the sand. And one couldn't get back up like a turtle. He was on his back. No. And I was like, oh no, what did I do? I felt really bad. And then he was fine. So I made a video of that. And it's 50,000 views. It's people are like, yeah, more of that. More of weird shit where you hurt animals accidentally.
To be honest, I didn't even know you could even interact with those things. I think I've been so focused on just progressing through the game. I didn't know you could even do that.
Carlos is the person who, to speak of myself in third person, goes and finds all the weird things, right? So
Yes,
anytime
yes.
I'm in town, I just try to like make shit happen, like weird shit happen. And so I was like, yeah, I just notice stuff like that. Like, by the way, in Assassin's Creed, I made a whole video of me just like being a jerk in Assassin's Creed. Because if you notice in any village, you can just destroy people's stuff. Maybe maybe you didn't notice because you didn't
I
try
maybe I
that.
didn't notice this. I
As
didn't try it.
Yasuke, you
No.
can run and charge like the Hulk, and so you can just
Hmm.
smash people's doors down and like break all their crops. And people are like, "What is this guy doing?" And I like knock the barrels open and all the oranges spill out. Like literally every individual orange like spills out on the floor.
Oh,
And
that's
then I
funny.
smash all
That's
the
funny.
fishes that were hanging up, and all the fishes went everywhere.
That's
That's just
hilarious.
pure
No,
bliss
I
to me.
I did not notice that. One glitch that I did think of you though when I was playing this game for exactly that reason. When I was playing pre-release, I think they probably patched it by now, but there was some kind of glitch when you're Naue, and there's a few ledges in the game that give you trouble when you're trying to mount them. So one of them, the first ledge, it was like a hay bale. I climbed up on top of the hay bale, and she kind of like mantled up onto it, and her body was flat, but then she stuck. She didn't get back up, and so I was stuck in like the flat
Oh yeah.
position with her legs kind of splayed out, and I was like spinning around in a circle with the hay bale under me, and I was like a little like now a UFO just kind of like hovering over the hay, which is really weird. But the other one, which I thought was hilarious, was she was pulling herself up on a ledge. It was like in the forest somewhere, some random like ledge. She pulls herself up, and instead of pulling herself up to the top of the ledge, she launched like 19 miles into the sky. Like I
Oh.
was literally above the entire map, like a rocket, bro. And then I slowly like floated back. It took me like 6 minutes to float back down to the surface, and I was waiting for her to take like fatal fall damage, and nothing happened. She's like,
Oh
just
my
came back
goodness,
down very
dude,
lightly. It was
you're
hilarious.
telling me like the clip that I want. You know what I mean? Like that's like
Oh
gold to
yeah,
me.
that's what made me think of you. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I should have recorded this for Carlos. That would have
Wait,
been
so you
so
did it
funny.
because I know that thing when you're like going through the woods, right? And the
Yeah,
trees are just everywhere, and you're just like
yeah,
grabbing at random ledges. That's when it happened, right?
yeah, kind
I'm
of.
gonna
Yeah,
try to
exactly.
reproduce it because I need that.
It was fucking wild, dude.
Okay,
All right.
that's a
Anyway,
show.
all right, folks. Here we go. Game portion of the show officially done. We got a few minutes here. I usually talk about TV and movies. You got anything you want to talk about this week, Carlos?
I
TV,
really got
movies, anything?
nothing. I'm gonna
Nothing.
watch the movie Love Me tonight, which is on two AIs that kind of fall in love. Yeah,
What?
but then they become real people.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
out.
yeah, I knew you'd be out. It's fine,
I'm
but it's like
out.
an independent movie about like AIs becoming people, and then it becomes like these two actors we know. I forgot what two the actors were, but
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
no, I don't have much. I'm not really watching. I've kind of finished a bunch of my series, so I'm not really like I finished Severance
Right
and stuff
on.
like that, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do I have real quickly? Me and the kid are on we're 2 episodes away from the final season of Star Trek Voyager. I've never seen it before, so this is all new to me, and it's been a real weird series. Have you ever seen? Are you a Star Trek guy? You
I
ever watched
watched it,
Voyager,
Next
Carlos?
Generation, and some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's funny because in Voyager, I guess when it was running, I wasn't watching it when it was running back then. I don't know what I was doing in my life, but probably working and chasing girls or something. But so the Voyager captain, I think, is kind of a cool one. It takes a while to kind of get warm up to her for me anyway. But I do kind of like her now. She's definitely a different kind of captain than the previous ones we got. But I think that's ultimately a good thing. And apparently the show was in trouble about halfway through, and they're like, "Oh, ratings are sagging. We got to do something." And so what they ended up doing was they brought on Jerry Ryan, who eventually becomes the ex Borg person, Seven of Nine. Do
Yeah,
you
I
know
know
that
the
character?
character. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't. I knew that they brought her on halfway, but I didn't really know much about it. But it's kind of hilarious because when you realize that the ratings were sagging and they brought her on, she has like she wears like the tightest bodysuits that you could possibly fit on a person, and she just is like radiating like sex appeal, the most sex appeal that's ever been on a Star Trek show, like ever. She's practically naked,
Yeah.
and she's tall, and she's blonde, and she's got like these super boobs, and the whole thing is just like, what the, the first time I saw her show up, I'm like, oh my god, is that her actual costume she's wearing? That like everybody in my family just paused for like a moment, and we're like, holy shit. But she's actually a great actress. I like her character a lot, so it's been fun to have her on the show, and I think she's really grown past being just sex appeal,
Yeah.
which is good. But
Yeah, I remember hearing
I
that.
do. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how the show wraps up, though, because they've been lost in space. You know, the whole premise is they're stranded a million miles away from home, and I am very curious what's going to happen when they wrap it up. So we'll see what happens. Definitely liking Voyager. It took me a while, but I got there, so I'm definitely in. The only other show, which might be of interest to you, Carlos, have you ever seen The Mysterious Cities of Gold, a cartoon from the early 80s, I
No,
believe.
if it's
You ever seen that?
cartoons, I haven't really, especially 80s cartoons. I haven't seen many. No.
Talked about this a while ago. It's like a Japanese and French co-production, and it's about people in Spain going to the New World, South America, to colonize and to steal other gold is what it's about. So I feel like it's kind of timely in that sense. But the story revolves around 3 kids who have been taken from South America, and they want to go back and find their families and find out where they're from. So it's a little bit of that, but there's also some adventure. There's also like Indiana Jones stuff. There's also wackiness and cartoon stuff. But it's actually been really, really interesting because not only is the cartoon pretty good, and way different than you would expect. It's like serialized storytelling. The pace of it's very different. It's a very product of a different time, basically. But at the end of every episode, they give a little history lesson with true facts. And the true facts are sometimes fucking mind-blowing. They talk about like the Incas and the Mayas and the Spaniards and how they raped South America and all the stuff that happened and like the different cultures. I have learned so much from those little end of the show historical recaps. I feel like, man, I didn't know that I didn't know so much about South America and those cultures. It's been pretty amazing.
Cool. Yeah. The more you know is what they say, right?
Exactly. The more you know. So thumbs up big time to Mysterious Cities of Gold for sure. All right, folks, that is a show. Before the closing music, would love for y'all to leave reviews, share it on social media, but most important of all, please recommend it to your friends because nothing beats good old word of mouth. As always, would love to get your questions and comments. Hit me up, sovietgamespodcast@gmail.com, or reach me on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway, all A's, no O's. Carlos, where can people find you?
Glitch through the ground, baby. GTTG.
Everywhere?
Yeah, pretty much just TikTok and just TikTok and YouTube. Yeah, I still do it on YouTube. Actually, YouTube is where I blew up. So yeah, show me Glitch through the ground on both those channels.
All right, sounds good. Find Carlos there. You can also hit us both up in the So Videogames Discord, totally free of charge. Just drop me a line and I will get you on board to continue the conversation. And finally, if you'd like to support the show and help with the cost of running the podcast, you can do that at patreon.com/the So Videogames Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. Folks, that's going to do it for episode 433. Thank you so much for joining both of us here on the So Videogames Podcast, and I'll see you next week. Carlos?
I'll see you sometime soon.